Hello everybody and welcome back to Madden 2005 in the Oakland Raiders franchise mode. And we're continuing on with year number 5, entering into week number 2 following a brutal loss to the New Orleans Saints in a close battle towards the end there. The Saints just kind of, usurped us there. I mean, the game completely fell out from underneath us, which is very reminiscent of year 3 and year 2 when we used to put up 40+ points a game and still find a way to lose. That game was very reminiscent of that, and I hope we don't revert to that because last year really gave us a lot of hope that we could trend in a different direction with our defense, especially with all the money and draft capital that I spent in order to kind of shore up those holes. And we still have a lot of those guys. That's where most of the money in the offseason went to. So we hopefully will see a better defensive performance here in week number 2 on the road in San Diego. So with that, let's now talk about our opponents, the San Diego Chargers, who are coming off of a win in Week 1, thanks to a pretty big game from Phillip Rivers with 4 touchdowns. Nothing from LT. He did have 127 rush yards, but no touchdowns. The Chargers, of course, as we know, we knocked them out of the playoffs last season for the second straight year in a row. Now, remember, they were the division winners 2 years ago, and we knocked them out. And last year, they just barely made it in at 9-7. Most of the teams in the AFC West were hovering around that 500 mark, but it was the San Diego Chargers that somehow managed to climb out of a very competitive West and make a wild card spot, and then they just ran right into the 11-headed monster that is our team. So the Chargers are, of course, looking for some revenge early here in their home. I almost said ballpark because it technically is a ballpark still, but in their home stadium. Seeing if they can knock us off quickly here, but Tim Couch already has the boys inside the 10 as he's going to drop back to pass, and he finds an open Justin Gage in the back of the end zone for the first touchdown of the season for Justin Gage. Justin Gage wasn't super involved against New Orleans, one of the couple of skill position players we had that were completely silenced, like Justin Fargas in terms of yardage at least. Justin Fargas did still find a way to have 2 touchdowns in the last game here, but with negative yardage. I mean, that's got to be, maybe not a record, but I don't know how many times it's happened consistently, but either way, Maurian Norris gets us a first down, and now Couch and the boys are moving once again, throwing over to Justin Gage's side, but it's actually Justin Fargas who manages to make the catch here out of the backfield here, running one of those little wheel routes along the sideline, and that ball just plays kind of perfectly in bounds to get a nice first down. We're going to fast forward to 2nd and 11 now inside the red zone, and Tim Couch able to fire this one down the middle of the field here, down the seam, and that pass is going to be completed and brought into the end zone for another Raiders touchdown. We're going to get another look at it and see exactly who it was, and it was Maurian Norris, man. Maurian Norris. Now, he had, I think, 1 or 2 receiving touchdowns last season. That was mostly the way that he contributed to the offense was through receiving. But it's not like he had a ton of numbers in that category either. It was just, how he was helping us out. And now he's got a receiving touchdown early in this season. But we take a 14-0 lead over the Chargers after the first quarter. But the Bolts are moving now. They are now moving inside the 25-yard line, and Rivers back to pass here, whips one across the middle, and that pass is going to be completed for another first down as he's going to hit Antonio Gates across the middle, who also didn't really do much of anything in the Week 1 win for the Chargers. But now quickly it becomes a 3rd down, and Rivers wants to dump this one out quickly here. It looks like to Gates once again, but he's going to get brought out of bounds before he can really do much of anything with that play. So bring out the special teams unit for San Diego as the kick is going to be up, and it is good. So San Diego's at least going to answer back with a few more points finally here in the second quarter, but they still find themselves down by at least a couple possessions here. So now the Raiders moving the other way with Couch across midfield, and across the middle, it's Gage once again. We know he's doing a lot of, actually no, it's Josh Reed, one of our new acquisitions from free agency, one of those new gadgety, or not gadgety, but just, kind of the 4th receiver on the depth chart type of position, which, could be Brian Lynch at some point throughout the year. We probably need to bounce him in and out, but Josh Reed's going to be around for a lot longer, so we might have to make a decision on one of those two guys. But Justin Gage getting us inside the 5, and now Couch are going to try and finish off the drive, and he does as he goes back to Gage for the 2nd touchdown of the game for the Raiders. And of course, specifically, or not for the Raiders, but for Gage, but it's the third touchdown for the Raiders as we now take a 21-3 lead over the Chargers here. But now, with just 2 minutes left, we're coming into the 2-minute warning now, just 2 minutes left in the first half. And Rivers is under pressure, and he's going to be eating some grass here, as I couldn't quite tell who exactly got in. I think it might have been Roya who got all the way in for the sack here. But now it's going to be 2nd and 15 for the Chargers as they're going to try and run back to the line of scrimmage to run another play. And this time, Rivers is able to find an open receiver across the middle, and that is going to get the Chargers at least up to midfield, as now they're going to try and run back up to the line with 1:40 and something taken off the board now. And Rivers back to pass once again. Pressure in his face, but he gets rid of it in time once again. And that pass is completed for another first down. And that's going to put the Chargers now just inside the 35 of Oakland. And they are moving, man. Just a couple plays, bing, bang, boom. Rivers again wants a deep shot downfield. And that pass is going to be completed once again. And these plays are happening so fast, I can't even see the numbers of the receivers that they're actually hitting here. Whether it's Eric Parker or Ken Dyson or Richie Caldwell, I can't tell, man. We know that the San Diego has such a great receiving core on this team. And there we see Antonio Gates finishing off the drive with an 8-yard touchdown pass from Rivers, and that will get the Chargers at least 7 on the board for the first time today as they've struggled to find the end zone. So 21-10 now the score. And now Tim Couch has some time here for the Raiders, but he's going to find a defender now that's intercepted. Now it's heading the other way. Morian Norris is in the vicinity, but he can't make the tackle. And Jerry Porter's tracking him down, and he's going to make the tackle. But there's a flag on the field, and that's because there's a holding call. So the Chargers commit a holding call, but unfortunately in this era of the NFL, it's not going to wipe off the interception. That interception is still good. That is going to count against Tim Couch, and the Chargers will retain possession, but they're going to get it closer to midfield and then wipes the touchdown off of the board. So on an inches to go or short yardage situation, they're going to give it to LT to get the first down, and that's going to put the Chargers well inside Raider territory with just about 35 seconds left to go, as now they're going to try and budget with some of these, with some of that 35 seconds to at least get maybe some points on the board. Obviously they're thinking touchdown here to get themselves back into this game, as Rivers goes towards the sideline, and that pass is broken up to Richie Caldwell, and so now that'll at least stop the clock for the Bolts. But now it's going to be 3rd and 10, 17 seconds left to go. Rivers back to pass, wants a home run shot towards the end zone, and that pass is broken up by Woolfolk, man. Woolfolk was absolutely blanketing Eric Parker. I believe it was Eric Parker. Yeah, it's Eric Parker. Woolfolk absolutely blanketing him, and that is why he's getting paid the big bucks, man. We pay him for that purpose specifically. So now, what was a pick six raced off the board, and it's going to at least be 3 points for San Diego, which, we still give up points, but our defense, an amazing job to kind of come back after that potential pick six and only managed to give up 3 points instead of the 7. So that's a huge, huge, huge advantage for our defense. But San Diego's going to start things off in the second half, already with the football across midfield. Rivers rips it across the middle, and it's Eric Parker with another nice completion. And now San Diego is looking to strike here, and that would get them within a point, pending an extra point. They will probably go for 2 to try and tie the game if they manage to score a touchdown, as Rivers flips this one out towards the goal line. And Richie Caldwell had to come out of the end zone to make that catch here. And he could have potentially got back in there, but Hannibal Navy is able to bring him down before he gets into the end zone. But either way, on the next couple plays here, LT is going to get the call, and he's going to get into the end zone for a touchdown. And now we haven't seen much of LT in this game, but he's been, at least gaming a little bit here. He's been kind of grinding up the yards. Not any big plays or anything, but he's just been able to keep San Diego's drives alive, which is kind of one of his best attributes as a running back for the Chargers, as he gets absolutely stuffed in the backfield on this 2-point conversion. Our defense all over it. So our defense manages to maintain the lead for our offense, but now we need to see something from the Raiders' offense here to give us a little bit of hope, as Tim Couch is unable to connect here, and that pass is going to be broken up. It looks like maybe it was going to Fargas once again, but that pass was broken up. So that's going to bring out 4th down now for the Raiders, and a field goal, obviously a 53-yarder. This is a bit of a long one for Janikowski, but he should have no problems making it, as the kick is up, and that kick is good. So that will add 3 more points to the board for our lead, but obviously we know a field goal doesn't really do a whole lot for the lead, since San Diego was still able to take a lead if they managed to get into the end zone one more time. But 24-19 is your score. Now on 2nd and long, very long here, 2nd and 13. Rivers is going to go back to pass here, flips it across the middle, and that pass is going to be completed once again, or actually that's to Ken Dyson, who makes a catch early in this game. He didn't really do much of anything in the first game for the Chargers, but here he is making a catch there, getting tackled by Hannibal Navies, and now Rivers going for another short short pass across the middle, and there's Ken Dyson once again making another short pass. But if it's moving the offense, then it's not a bad thing at all. So, but we fast forward to a 3rd and inches for the Chargers, and they go to LT once again, and LT's going absolutely nowhere. And it's actually Boone. So I thought it was Royer earlier on the sack, but it was actually Boone who had the sack, and now Boone who also comes up with a huge stuff on 3rd down to force San Diego to take 3 points, which they will happily do, and that will get them up to 22 points. So now a field goal will potentially win them the game if they can hold our offense, which they've done a good job of here in the second half so far. In the third quarter, we've only had that one field goal, so they've done a good job of silencing the offense here. We got to see something from Couch and the boys here as we're already across midfield. And Tim Couch is able to lay that one out to Josh Reed, making another nice, incredible catch here. And this is essentially the role that Chris Cole was playing. If you guys remember, from the previous seasons, Joey Galloway last year and then Chris Cole for all the other seasons, that kind of gadgety position here. I keep calling it gadgety, but it's not really. It's just kind of the guy that the defense is forgetting about. That's what Josh Reed's doing. But on a 3rd and 3, San Diego is able to get into the backfield, and a huge sack on Couch is going to bring up 4th down. And now a decision is going to have to be made here, and it's an easy one. Yes, we're just going to take the 3 points. North Turner doesn't want to threaten anything, but there is a hold. Barry Sims is holding, and that is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. That's, I think, his second hold of the game, too. So he's been a multiple offender, a repeat offender in this game. But Janikowski, doesn't matter how far you move it back, it's still going to be good. So that's going to extend things to 27-22. So it's still a 5-point game. We probably could have went for it. Maybe would have been smarter to go for it because you're still leading. But North Turner playing conservative, and we'll see if it pays off. As San Diego now gets a huge boost on offense that's going to get him across midfield at about the Raider 48-yard line. And so now it's going to be 1st and 10 as they race back up to the line of scrimmage with only a minute and a half left in the game. Rivers back to pass here across the middle again, and a whole web of players. And somehow, I think Antonio Gates is who made the catch, is going to come down with it. And so now, once again, running back up to the line of scrimmage, it's going to be 1st and 10 once again, and that pass is going absolutely nowhere as Rivers is hit as he throws, and the ball sails safely into the dirt. So now they'll have to reshuffle the deck here and kind of reapproach what they're going to do here in this last minute and change as Rivers goes towards the sideline, and there were 2 defenders in the area, but Richie Caldwell able to, 1, make the catch, and 2, keep both feet in bounds, allegedly. We're not going to review it, but certainly, it was a very close call. So 1st down again for the Chargers. And Rivers now going to fire this one across the middle, and I believe it was Ken Dyson who made the catch, maybe. I believe it was, Ken Dyson who made that catch inside the 5. So now, 1st and goal here, under a minute left to go. They're just going to run the play immediately, and Rivers finds a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone, but he is out of bounds. I think it was Antonio Gates again, but he was well out of bounds. So bring him 2nd and goal here. 57 seconds left to go. Rivers wants to throw for it again. He's going to fire it towards the middle of the end zone, but out of bounds again is Richie Caldwell. So that's 2 out of bounds catches in the end zone, and now it's going to bring up 3rd and goal for the Chargers, man. They could win the game off of this if they can play their cards right here. And that pass is broken up by Woolfolk once again, a pass to Eric Parker. And I think Parker might have been out of bounds even if he did manage to catch it. So bring up 4th and goal down to the last play of the game potentially for the Chargers. They're going to hand it to LT, and LT is getting stuffed. There's nowhere to go. And our defense comes up with a goal line stand. And the Chargers are going to come up empty-handed on this drive. They're going absolutely nowhere. And we would be able to get a 1st down and kill the rest of the clock of the game, and we're going to hang on to win, baby, in San Diego. What an amazing, just tough battle that we just had with the Chargers, man. And our defense, I was talking about it at the beginning of the video, how much I wanted to see our defense improve, and they certainly have, man. They've halved the amount of points, just about halved, almost halved, the points that they gave up in week number 1. I mean, that was huge, but as you can see on the stat screen, the Chargers still kind of outgained us in a lot of ways. They really just outran us a little bit, but still, we managed to at least have the rushing production, so it's not like they just completely had an aspect or element of their game that we didn't even, we couldn't even tap into, which was the problem against New Orleans. We could not run the football against New Orleans, and that was something that they could at least kind of do with McAllister, and also Aaron Brooks, but that was not the case here. So LT ran a little bit better than Justin Fargas did, but neither of them were really super disruptive at all, and Tim Couch has a pretty normal game. That's actually a pretty normal stat line, but Justin Gage, obviously the pride of the receiving corps with his 2 touchdowns, a great thing to look at. Ed Reed leading the team in tackles, but Hannibal Navies and Will Witherspoon with a pair of TFLs themselves. But heading back to the Hub World, we do manage to lose that game in Atlanta against the Falcons. Kind of a tough one there, but the Falcons are a bad team. We probably should have won it, And then the winless Bills continue to stay winless, courtesy of our win against them back in Oakland. And that's going to bring us into finally a rematch against the Jets here of the AFC Championship from a couple seasons ago. That's going to be a bit of a rematch as we are back in Oakland against the Jets.